This movie is cool because most movies you have a hospital, a police station. In this movie, we really don't have any of that stuff. We have caves, minarets, mosques, you know, fortresses, underground bunkers. Every single set is a challenge on this movie. Our biggest set was the village, and we had to build a large village. David wanted a big plaza, you know, like a lot of depth so that he could play all the kind of stunts, action, the milk truck gag, and see something almost like a real piazza feeling. And so that was like our biggest build, and that was built out in the middle of nowhere, you know, just like on a completely flat copper tailing pond. And, you know, starting from nothing and then putting in the telephone poles and then building this whole village from scratch. We did want to make it accurate and believable and real and gritty, you know, so not perfect. We didn't want the place to look like a picturesque set, but have the reality, so we went ahead and dressed in things like the electrical boxes and the kind of wild third world jerry-rig wiring and stuff. There's all the new technology that kind of clashes with the old technology, and so in our market, along with kind of traditional foods and vegetables, you'll see plastic, you know, items that are imported from all around the world, which did seem to be quite accurate to Iraq and all developing countries. I had to start the drawings about a week after I was hired, and we had to start construction, say, 2 weeks later. So I immediately said, okay, I'm going to build this whole model as fast as I can, 3D, paint it, so that David can see it. We got this little spy camera for like $150 and attach it to a little truck, and then we could work out all the kind of angles and shots that David wanted to see in the movie and the heights of buildings. This is how we planned for our opening scene in the village. We would drive past this building that's under construction, have kind of a strobing effect through the I-beams. Then we would see like this really cool textured wall of brick. So this is actually the entrance to the city right here, and your first kind of view of the whole reveal. We used as a centerpiece of the village a beautiful mosque that we found a photograph of. It's called the Mosque of Ibrahim. It's actually in Saudi Arabia, but it's typical of the kind of mosque and minarets that you see in Iraq. And then we decided that we would make this into the bunker that Saddam, like he really did, took over a lot of mosque and like fortified it. And he's put all his image, like dictators have a tendency to do, but big murals of themselves and posters, and his soldiers have taken over the entrance to the mosque.
Go, step aside, move!
The guys run into this courtyard, which is the mosque, now blocked up with cement block and, you know, gun ports and sandbags, and taken over by the soldiers. This is like their radio tower here and connections, communications. And then our guys are going to actually walk right into this bunker, find a bunker entrance, and walk down.
Clear, let's move. United States military! United States military, everybody out!
We built a lot of interior sets on the stage that are supposed to be the inside of these bunkers. And that was a very difficult thing to figure out what the inside of Iraqi bunkers really look like. We did as much research as we could from the military, from bomb shelters, and then interpolating from there too. So on the location, we have steps down into an underground bunker, which looks like the cylindrical turret of our big mosque. This is another thing that we found in some of the research photos was an old like stone well. So we found rocks from around the mine and set them in. And then the scenics did a great job of matching all the rocks. And the first time that you come to the village, you're going to drive up and see this well, and you're not going to notice it as anything special. But the second time, when they realize that actually the gold is somewhere in this village, they're going to come up and see this. I don't know if you can see this, but that you can actually open this door. You'll have these same stairs going into a set on the stage, and you'll see a whole like interior bunker. We let that be our most high-tech bunker, as if they bought the plans from Germany or England, which it seems like they often did, and built these high-tech tubular-shaped bunker with concrete ribs. The Oasis bunker in the movie, that's one of the last places they go, and that's kind of one of our favorites because we took this big dirt cliff and then we built a huge like sloped stone wall almost in the Assyrian architecture style. The plasters created these big, almost square block stones, like 20-inch square stones. They're very textured, and we used a lot of the dirt from the set, from the location, and mixed it in, and then made this pretty impressive, wild-looking bunker, because we have a huge, scenes, a lot of action out in front of there. Inside the Oasis bunker, there we looked through a lot of photographs of ancient structures in the Middle East and used like heavy stone arches and all kind of stone walls and things, again, that our plasters made. So each bunker has a whole different character. The main thing for production designers is figure out what's really going to be seen on the screen and where to put the money that it's really going to count. Juice it up where it's going to be seen. David and I were interested in that kind of clash of first world, third world technology, and that was one thing that attracted me to the film, was that kind of like crazy clash. One thing we found a lot in the research in third world buildings and my own personal travels in third world countries is that people are overly ambitious and start building a big building, then run out of money and never finish it. This building is kind of the same thing. It was meant to be like an old building that they added a second floor on, and they never really finished the interior of the second floor. The ground floor is a shish kebab stand. These are like government buildings, and this is something that the government gives out. In fact, every shop owner is supposed to have a photograph of Saddam in his place of business, in his office. Saddam likes to see his image on calendars, plates, everything. Many of the people that worked on this movie were actually in the revolution and were fighters in the revolution. We've also had all these kind of old ladies and different people from Iraq have come over there and just spontaneously picked up rocks and thrown them at the murals because they see the mural and it's too authentic, and their emotions are fired up and they want to hurl something at Saddam's face, which they actually threw 3 rocks in a row. That was like a tradition. And the next building is a schoolhouse that's been bombed out because this village has been in the middle of civil war between the Shiites and Saddam's army. So the director today told me that he thought we should give a little bit more punch to the yellow. So we're gonna like punch the color up on this so it'll really kind of flare out and read well on Ektachrome. One thing we wanted to show in this village, that the villages around Karbala were actually strongholds of the Shiite religion and the Shiite rebellion. So this building represents like caught in the middle of the civil war and strife, like a schoolhouse for children being bombed in the middle of the fighting. We had only X amount of money, but we wanted to make the village look kind of bigger than it was. So we tried to do a look of like refugee camps that you would see in the distance. So we actually ended up with tents, grass matting, old shacks that we found, like farmers in the neighborhood sold us their old garden shacks and things. Like this one over here we set up looking like kilns. Like even if we buy new elements, we are aging them in the dirt and trying to make it look like people actually live out here. I mean, I feel like we're trying to be real and open people's eyes to sort of like a slice of the world that in a way we were all involved in because we all watched that war on CNN. So it was really part of our American experience, but this little slice, I don't think we knew too much about it. So it's familiar, but it's like bringing it into focus.